The Killing Vote episode 9 opens with Do-hee's Killing Vote show. The journalist informs her audience that they are going to open a message board to the public for incidents of injustice. The most liked issue will be presented on the show. Back at the police station, Young Jin-wook is being escorted out when he hears a song playing from the water company's truck nearby. He suddenly fights off his guards and grabs another man, holding him at gunpoint. Doing so, he gets into the elevator. Hyun confronts Seokju about the missing first letter from number 1 fan. Moo-chan calls her at that moment and tells her that Seokju is Gadol. She's still recovering from the shock when the water truck bursts through the prison wall and Seokju escapes. On the terrace, Jin-wook gets shot by a frustrated senior officer and falls to the ground. Hyun gets into a police car and she and Moo-chan chase the water truck. Jodan guides them to a tunnel, but by the time Hyun and Moo-chan reach, they see Seokju getting away on a bike. A flashback shows that the first letter from number 1 fan was him admitting his murder of Nare. He carried out justice since she was a tattletale. Seokju is distraught about receiving it. Later, he notices Ji-hoon, the boy he was going to adopt, in the prison church. He's an altar boy. Without anyone noticing, Seokju holds hands with him. While being examined by Ji-hoon's grandmother, who is a doctor in the prison, she gives him a cell phone. Seokju sends Ji-hoon a text about how they need to tell the world about this sin. At present, the police investigation team finds themselves in hot water for losing Seokju. The senior officer wants to search for him in secret, while Moo-chan says it's faster if they make it public knowledge. Moo-chan and Jin-soo discuss how Jin-wook could have known to create a distraction just at the time when Seokju was escaping. Moo-chan trusts everyone in his team. After Moo-chan leaves, Jin-soo speaks to someone on the phone and tells them that the professor's picnic is over. Ji-hoon and his grandmother, Hae-jin, come to Gadol's main server room and see it's trashed by the man who betrayed them, Gadol No. 5. Ko Dong-gyu. Gadol No. 1 also arrives and we realize that Dong-gyu left them to join hands with Min-soo instead. That's how he got his hands on their program. They begin to take a backup of their data. Ji-hoon gets a text from Min who says she's waiting at a playground and won't leave till he meets her. Moo-chan searches Seokju's house and Hyun turns up, having had the same idea. She sees Nare's drawing featuring a young boy and Moo-chan tells her about the near adoption of the young boy. Ji-hoon finally turns up to meet Min at the playground. He tells Min he had a younger sister who behaved just like her. When she asks about his empty house, Ji-hoon claims that he's going to move soon. While they are walking down a road, Ji-hoon suddenly sees a shadow of a person behind him. He tells Min that his father is here and rushes off. It is indeed Seokju who embraces Ji-hoon. At home, Min tries to tell Hyun that Ji-hoon is acting suspicious, but she doesn't think much of it. Seokju visits the server room with Ji-hoon and Hae-jin. Hae-jin wonders if number 3 will betray them the way that number 5 did. Seokju says that number 3's position is valuable and he won't betray them. Elsewhere, Min-soo marvels over the Gadol program that he got courtesy of Dong-gyu. The latter reminds Min-soo that he promised to get him his revenge. He also reveals that it was Gadol number 1 who made the program. In the morning, Min types the story of the drunk driver killing her parents on Do-hee's program's message board. When she reaches school, she and her friend see Jin-soo speaking to Min-soo. Jin-soo says it's part of his duty to protect the schoolkids from Min-soo. At school, Ji-hoon sneaks into Min-soo's laptop and downloads something. Min-soo talks to Ji-hoon about the counseling Hyun ordered for him and asks if he's close to Hyun. Ji-hoon answers vaguely and leaves. Do-hee gets a call from Ji-young, who reveals that she's manipulating the message board and orders Do-hee to cover the story that Ji-young wants to be aired. She then gets a call from Moo-chan. Hyun and Sang-jae investigate Seokju's prison cell. From the various amenities inside the cell, Hyun figures that Seokju must have had clients at the prison who ensured that his life was comfortable. When they ask about his doctor, Hyun realizes it's Yang Hae-jin, Ji-hoon's grandmother. Meanwhile, Moo-chan looks into the boy Seokju was going to adopt. The woman at the orphanage tells him that his name was Taeyang and he witnessed his parents' death and was unable to speak. After everything with Sukju, he was adopted by a good family. The woman says she doesn't want to remind him of those incidents. As he leaves, Hyun calls him and tells him about the Yang Hae-jin and Ji-hoon connection. Doohee breaks the news about Sukju's escape from police custody, which lands the investigation team in even more trouble than before. We then see Jodan get a text from Gadol number 1. Muchan visits Yang Hae-jin. Hae-jin tries closing the door on him, but Muchan lies and claims he's here to check on Ji-hoon, whose life he saved at the hospital. Once he's inside, he notices slight movement up the staircase but can't see anybody. Sukju is indeed hiding there and listens to Muchan questioning Hae-jin about himself. Hae-jin says that Sukju was interested in Ji-hoon since he was about the same age as Nare. Before leaving, Sukju suddenly runs upstairs but can't see anybody. On his way out, he notices more than one umbrella in the umbrella stand. Sukju comes downstairs and we realize that he had prepared Hae-jin for this very situation. While looking at a family relation certificate of Hae-jin and Ji-hoon, Muchan asks Jinsu to get more information. As news reports about his escape are plastered over the city, Sukju blends with the crowd in a Gadol mask, which has now become popular. A man approaches him and Sukju slips a piece of paper into his hand. The man turns out to be a police officer, as we see him making fun of Sang-jae and Yoon-ji in the following scene. Jinsu arrives and puts a stop to it. Jodan and Hyun are sitting on a bench at the school campus, dressed as students. Turns out, Jodan joined an online Gadol community for students in order to lure out Gadol number 1. Instead of the perpetrator, it is Min's friend who turns up. She says the Real Gadol told her to come and give Hyun a piece of paper. It says, "See you when the weather is nice." Ji-hoon tries to record the whole thing from afar. He goes home and meets Sukju, who is positive that Hyun will understand his message. They discuss that they must get the program out of Minsu's hands. Jodan and Hyun puzzle over what the message could mean. Hyun asks for Young Jin-wook's phone and looks through the apps. She finds 2 weather apps and figures it out. Muchan arrives just as she exclaims that she got it. Doohee begins her killing vote segment but finds her show gate crashed by Hyun, Muchan and their team. Hyun tells the audience to check their phones where they will find 2 weather apps. She says by taking part in Gadol's voting, he hacked into their phones and installed the app to collect information. She and Muchan advise all the people to delete the app. In Ji-young's office, Minsu flies into a rage. Ji-young calms him down and assures him that this isn't over. After the show, Hyun pulls Doohee aside and accuses her of leaking sensitive information. Doohee retorts that Hyun should check who gave her the information in the first place. Hyun realizes that it was Muchan and confronts him. He says it was the only way to start looking for Sukju. Hyun is disappointed and says she will leave his team. While working from Sukju's house, Jodan and Hyun wonder why Gadol told them about the weather app. Hyun thinks there must be a rift within Gadol's team members. The killing vote then begins and Gadol admits that the public has lost faith in him. To show that he is on their side, Gadol picks the popular incident on the message board for that day's vote. The incident is about a real estate con artist who stole from a family, and the family ended up committing suicide. The man himself has been tied to a chair, and we see that Dongye is one of the Gadols surrounding him. This is the man who sent Dongye to prison, and that's why he wants revenge. The final vote goes above 50% and the man is killed. Muchan and his team find his body the next day. Jinsu remarks that murder has become a game to most people, which is why they didn't delete the app off their phone. Hyun and Jodan sneak into Minsu's house on the excuse of fixing the internet, while most people are outside. Hyun sneaks upstairs, and when the housekeeper is back, Jodan tells her that Hyun left the house. She ends up finding Minsu's secret room and even unlocks his computer. Suddenly she realizes the door to his room has closed, and she can't leave. Meanwhile, Minsu is on his way home. While looking through his files, She finds a video of Nare crying for her father. The episode comes to a close as the door to the secret room opens. The episode review. One of the biggest developments in The Killing Vote Episode 9 is that Sukju is finally out in the open, free. It's interesting to see him out and about and not constrained by the police. His dynamic with Ji-hoon and Hyejin is clear, and they seem to make a small family of their own. At the same time, the reveal of Sukju being the mastermind behind Gadol undermines a lot of Hyun and Muchan's previous efforts. While the reasoning makes sense, it can't help but feel like we've been running in circles. That said, the following episodes will determine whether this was a good direction for the story or not. The argument of morality has taken a back seat in the more recent episodes. We get a glimpse of it when Muchan and Hyun argue about him leaking the news about Sukju to the reporter. But there isn't any news substance in that conversation. The pace of the episodes is a bit slow, and would admittedly be stronger with a shorter run time. But nevertheless, the story is able to capture one's attention with the various twists and turns.